Hello and welcome to episode number 31 of Just Shillin'. I am one of your hosts, Sean Hoffman.
And I am one of your hosts, Andy Bell.
Oh man, I almost forgot. Wait. I forgot to do our maybe like an intro theme song here. Go. There we go. There's a little intro for us. Courtesy
Perfect.
of my Oscar Mayer Wiener whistle.
Excellent.
I love it. Love it.
Excellent.
And
Excellent.
don't
That
worry,
should.
I got you one too.
Oh, dude. I've got a sausage wheel. I've got a sausage whistle. I,
You got a wiener whistle.
my life is complete. There is nothing. I'm
Oh,
done. I'm done. Good night, everyone. I'm
I
I'm I'm
cannot
I'm complete.
I cannot wait for your missus to see your box of goodies that you're gonna come home with after the next time we see each other. She'd be like, "Oh, those are all gifts? Nice. That's all. That's cool. Yeah, look, this is my wiener whistle. The what now?" But yeah.
I blow I blow my wiener whistle. Would you like to blow my wiener whistle?
She's like, "If you
Stop
say
it.
wiener whistle one more time, if you say it one more time, we're gonna have a problem."
How you doing, buddy? How's your week been?
It's been good. It's been good. I've obviously so for some updates, I got to see the Wiener Mobile. I know everybody was just
Yay!
really waiting with bated breath to find out if I made it there or not. And we did. And it was the full size Wiener Mobile too.
Oh,
It's
good.
amazing. It was amazing. And I got to talk to the guy who drove it, and it's almost like an internship kind of contract thing. It's crazy. Like apparently it's like a 12-month contract, and they get like 2 weeks off the whole year. In the other 50 weeks, they're just driving with a partner the whole year to different things. It's like that is nuts in this like big hot dog shaped RV. It's crazy. And I hope they get paid well, but it's all that. That was fun. Um, I'm doing my order of operations wrong. First, I'd like to apologize. I make an apology this week. I want to apologize to Andy and Turbo both. First of all, Turbo, thank you for coming on. That was awesome. Really appreciate it. But I
Yeah.
listened to the
Yeah.
podcast and I could tell that's like whenever I have technical difficulties, it is so hard to come back from it. Like it just I feel like it just kicks my whole vibe off. And so then I'm just like continuously thinking about the like, "Oh, am I cutting out again?" So it's like being very aware of what you're saying and like the instead of just being in the moment. And so I feel like it affected my presence after that. And I just want to say, you know what? Apologize, you guys. It wasn't anything you guys did. It was my
You
stupid computer and
you
internet.
you had you had nothing to honestly, seriously. We were down for what? 3, maybe 4 minutes
It
while
felt
you were
like 4
working a
hours in
few.
my world.
Yeah, no. It's 4 minutes. We put the whole thing on pause. You stuck on some nice tunes in the meantime. I had a nice chat with Turbo. It was absolutely fine, and you came back absolutely strong. It was no problem. I mean, it was the wiener that broke the internet. It wasn't you,
It
mate.
was. It
Um,
was.
so don't. I certainly, and you know how self-critical I am. I certainly didn't notice anything at all wrong with your engagement or your rep, your
My
shtick
vibes.
when we got back. So, dude, don't worry about it at all. But I will say thank you, Turbo. That was good fun. That was really really good
Yeah.
fun. I mean, what a dude. He's such a honestly. I wish I was that cool in life. I really do. He is younger than me, but not that much younger than me. And I just wish I was that cool. The guy's good looking, got a full head of hair, ridiculously fit. Um, yeah, he's annoying.
He's got a nice deck too. I had to get it in
He's
there. I
got a,
had
he's
to.
got a lovely
It
deck.
was just
He's got a
like
lovely deck.
you underhanded it to me, and I just had to knock it over the fence. Like it was
It's
right
a
there.
it's a it's a well-oiled deck. I don't know if you've seen his
Yeah.
pictures in recent days, but he's got a very very well-oiled deck, and I
I
respect
would
that.
not
I
mind.
respect
I
any
would not
guy.
mind sitting on that deck. I would not mind it
Oh,
sitting
I'd
on
love
that
to sit
deck.
on it. It looks really really good. Yeah. No, it's a good deck. Good deck, Turbo. Thank you.
Anyways, besides that, I got to go. I don't know if you know who like Mayor Pete is over here. He's like a politician. He ran for president, and you think he's like our Secretary of Transportation, but he used to be a mayor in Indiana. But I really like the guy, and he was actually in the area for a summit, like for like politicians, and got to see him speak like on the lake, and it was all this whole thing. It's like Madison and I like dressed in normal clothes, and all these like wannabe politicians there.
Mhm.
So it was weird. We got to go to that. That was fun. And got some like free water bottles and stuff like that. Just talking about funding and public transportation and shit
Oh,
like
that's
that.
cool.
So that was fun. Yeah, it was a fun little venture off into the beach. I'm not going to talk about my grape incident. I'll kick that one off.
Oh,
I ate,
yeah,
I ate
yeah,
too
yeah,
many I
hmm.
ate too many grapes. That's all there were at that farmer's market. That's all I'll say. But the thing that I wasn't going to talk about because I didn't think it was good, but then Madison's like, "No, you got to tell people. You got to tell people." So the other day, when was that? What was it? Saturday? So last Saturday, Madison went and did some trail work. She volunteered for like the trail organizations to go do some trail work. And we're doing it again this week. I'm going this time this weekend, where you like go out to these like trails and you like use big crosscut saw, like hand saws to like
Yeah.
cut up fallen trees and move them off and do all this cleanup and shit because you can't use chainsaws because of blah 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 fire hazard yada yada yada. So when she left early in the morning, she didn't quite close the front door all the way. Like it didn't latch. Like it was closed, but it didn't latch, which is probably my fault in some roundabout way because the door should latch easier. Um, but this led to at about 6 or 7 in the morning. Like I just happened to be awake. I don't know what time she left, but I just happened to wake up. And like, do you ever have that? Like, you wake up, you're like, something's going on. Like, there's a
Yeah.
reason I need to be awake, and I shouldn't be awake right now. And next thing you know, I heard like the front door like open, like kind of open hard, not really hard, not slamming, but like that sounds like somebody opened the door aggressively. Um, and I was like, that's weird. She shouldn't be here. She should be gone by now. So I get up and like walk out of the bedroom, walk down the hallway, and like see the front door, and I am looking at a bear that is looking at me. That
Oh.
a bear is standing with its two paws and face looking at me, and I'm looking at it, and the cats are on the couch between us, and the cats are sitting on top of the couch going, "What the hell is going on?"
Yeah.
Like, not processing, and I just like go like, I think I probably made a noise of some kind. I don't remember what it was, and it turned around and fucked off into the driveway. And so then I'm like, like panic mode. You're like, I'm gonna go walk somewhere and like check something. And it's like, no, wait, what am I doing? I need to make sure that bear is like gone. So I go back out into the driveway and yell at it, get out of here. And it ran off. But that was fun. So then I messaged her. I'm like, hey, just so you know, bear got in the house. Or no, I called her. I'm like, hey, a bear got in the house. And she's like, I'm about to lose service. What are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, a bear got in. You didn't close the door all the way. And then I kind of let it linger because I'm a jerk. I'm like, I got to make them pay for it a little bit. It's like a bear got in. She's like, did it
Dude.
tear anything up? It's like, no, it didn't. It didn't. It just kind of came in and I heard it and happened to be awake. And I came up. It's like, you are not supposed to be here. The cats were uh like walking around like deer in headlights the rest of the day, but it was fun. It was a good old
Yeah.
time. That same bear, I don't know if I told you about this. Yesterday we were on our morning walk, and I don't know if you saw the picture I posted in Discord, but we walked and we saw this house, and there's just a bear inside the house, but like up in the windowsill, like with
That's
like
not the
it's
same bear.
it is the same bear. It is the exact same bear because they usually kind of linger on the same areas, and it is the exact same
So that's
bear
not
that is.
so that's a mama. That's a big old bear. That's not a baby.
He's not a baby. He's about a
Oh, it's
teenager.
he.
Like he's not.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
fine.
it's. I mean, I assume it's a he because it's got the boy bear build, but it's like a teenager. It's not full grown male or mama bear that's massive.
Yeah.
So we have the mama and the three babies that wander around quite a bit, and then we have this new teenager guy who's getting ready to go into hibernation and breaking into people's houses. But no, he's sitting up in the windowsill, like on an arm propped up on the ledge, with just his head out the window, just kind of looking around, not just sitting there. We walk by and it's like, what do you? But then he went inside. We called
So
the
who?
bear league. The bear league came out and got him out. Yeah,
So who's that? Whose house is that? Is that someone's house?
it was somebody's house. I believe it's somebody's second home or like a vacation home because they're there sometimes, sometimes they're not. Um, and so that's what so when you have bears in home stuff and there's nobody home, you kind of like look around neighbors like, do you have we couldn't, it was early in the morning. It was like 7 in the morning. So nobody was up.
Yeah.
So we have this thing called the Tahoe Bear League that you can call, that will intervene and really
Wicked.
like they're kind of like a nonprofit kind of thing that's like, don't call like the police because they're just going to call the Bear League because the Bear League has like the means and the training to like get a
Yeah,
bear
yeah,
out of a house and like and make sure like they're tagged and make sure that like, oh, this is a problematic one. We need to like pick him up and move him. Like we had one called Hank the Tank a couple years ago that was a big boy and he was tearing stuff up in some of the community in other communities. But so this guy came out and he's like, you just don't corner him, and he goes and he's like getting him out, and bear jumps out the window and runs off, and it's like, oh, that's awesome. But yeah, lots of bear activities. But yeah, a bear got in my house. It didn't break in. It pushed the door open. It didn't leave claw marks or anything, but he just came up, sniffing, went push on the door, popped it open.
that's exciting stuff, though. I mean, the most I get is the random hedgehog in the back garden that I got to look out for because the dog will try and attack it. But yeah, we don't have
Nice.
anything like bears. Certainly not where I live at the moment, anyway. And in fact, I'm pretty sure we don't have any bears at all in the UK apart from. No, we don't have any bears in the UK at all. We have the occasional wolf. We have the occasional um, wildcat. But
Mm.
apart from we're pretty much a self-sustained country of idiots, whereby the humans are the most aggressive people
Yeah,
on the island. You know.
I'm just glad we don't. I'm just glad we don't have grizzly bears here. I mean, there's
No,
it's kind
right?
of
Yeah,
weird
yeah, yeah.
I'm kind of it's kind of weird to say, but I am glad that like over 100 years ago they decided to just get rid of them here, um, by means. But so it does have it sucks, but it has its benefits in ways.
They're
They're
relatively
not.
they're relatively with all the stuff you send me as well, all the pictures and videos and stuff. They're really quite. I wouldn't say domesticated, but we've spoken about it before. In that you don't hassle them, they don't hassle you. They get in the way. You kind of shoo them, and they do as they're told. It's not.
Oh, they're
It
dumb
doesn't
as
seem
hell.
to be. Okay.
They
Okay.
are. They. I mean, they're not dumb, but they are just like they don't give a shit. Like they just don't. Like
Right.
they are. They're almost like a small creature, but they're just huge. So like you see them, you're like, oh, that's gonna get me, and then they're like, ha ha ha. No, I'm gonna dope across the road, and all the cars stop, and everybody's pulling off, taking photos, and then they're just big, dumb, oblivious. They're oblivious. That's the word I'm looking for. Not dumb. They're oblivious. They just don't care. They're just like, yeah, I'm gonna go
I'd
jump
love
this
that.
fence. Oh, I broke the fence. Oops, sorry about your fence. Carry on, and
I'd love that. I'd love that.
away
I'd
they
love
go.
that. I really would. Cool.
Uh,
Cool.
Other than that, that's all in the news I have, man. What's new in your neck of the woods? You
Oh,
seem
dude.
bright and chipper, and I'm excited to hear about it.
Well. Yeah, I know that's you. You and I have spoken before we started recording, so you know that's a lie. No, it's been a tough week at work. It's those deadlines keep getting closer, 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 and certain things working out really well, and then new blockers come in the way or new challenges come in our way that weren't foreseen, and you kind of it's typical, isn't it? Your to do list or
Yeah,
your list of your list of milestones. You get it down to a decent and manageable level, and then it ends up building up again to extreme measures. So yeah, it's been a really weird week again, where I've had another week of working till relatively late most nights, which hasn't been fun. And because we are getting tight on deadlines, let's just say one or two people are using that as a reason to get a little bit emotional and
mm,
angry, which isn't helping the situation that we're in at the moment. It'll all be fine. It always is fine. It's only work, but some people, I guess, just need to to vent every now and again, which isn't fun. So there's been that, and that's pretty much been my weekend. We did go out with some friends on Friday evening for dinner, which was really really nice.
Nice.
But it was really low key, a very very mellow evening. I wasn't necessarily in the right frame of mind going out, but I'm so goddamn glad that I did go out because, quite
Mhm.
frankly, it was really really nice. Bunch of
Nice.
friends
Hell
that
yeah.
I was a lot closer to a few years back, and they don't live too far away. It's always the case, isn't it? Life gets in the way and work gets in the
Mhm.
way. And I hadn't seen them for a good 12 months. And we went out, went to a really, really nice Italian that's set itself up recently, that's getting really good reviews because they are very, very good. Always helps when it's owned by and staffed by Italians, by
Nice.
Italian nationals. So the food was delicious. But it was nice, and it was just nice not to feel relaxed enough that I didn't feel as if I had to entertain. I didn't have to
Yeah.
engage in conversation, and they kind of helped me. Sorry, that they kind of ran the narrative for the evening, and as such, I found myself getting engaged after I kind of switched off my mindset or my mind from thinking about work, which so it did me an awful lot of good. But yeah, good God, it's busy as heck at the moment. Apart from that, Monday evening, I did go and see Alien Romulus, which I'll talk to you about later on. We'll get into the media stuff, and that again was a nice break. And again, one of those things that was like, oh, can I afford to do this? Can I do this? And I'm thinking to myself, shit, it's 8 o'clock at night. I should be able to go out with a buddy to go to see a film. What the hell am I thinking about? Still, why should I still be thinking about work this time of night? And again, having those prearranged breaks from the work the workload at the moment is doing me some good because it won't last forever.
Yeah.
It's shit or bust by the first couple of weeks in September. So and we're on track for delivering, but in the meantime, it's going to be a tough couple of weeks getting there. We do have an extended weekend in the UK this weekend coming up, so it's one of those, what we call a bank holiday, which means that Monday is a day off. So we're going to go down to the coast in the UK again, down to Devon, the cottage in Devon, and just mess about with the dog on the beach for a couple of days, taking a few nice restaurants and try and switch off a little bit. So yeah, it's been, I've been thankful for the moments I've had in the last week to get away from work, and then we've got something to look forward to this weekend, and I'm just gonna have to knuckle down, toughen up, and get on with it until, like I said, the first couple of weeks in September, and by which time we should be clear. So that's kind of my week, really. It's not particularly interesting or anything, and I'm sorry if half a dozen people have got half a dozen people. Can you imagine that? Half a dozen
Our
people
entire
listening.
listener base.
Our entire listener base. I've switched them off now, but yeah, that's kind of been it. But I tell you what, I
That
have done is I've caught up on a lot of stuff, watching and reading, etc., etc., etc. And I've done some research this week in between work efforts. Sorry, to on some news. Did you pick up anything? Let's talk about news. What about news? I think this is
I
going to take a
I
while. Actually,
I
this section.
about to say, I think this is awesome because you know what? I came prepared. I actually said I after last
Yay!
week's episode, I was like, you know what? I need to start being a little prepared. I'm not gonna say all the way prepared. And I'm not, I am myself. I want to be, who I am. And just I'm gonna come with notes. Not all the notes, but some. So I got a couple pieces of news. One I think is the low-hanging fruit that I'll save. So I'm sure we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
My news is mostly trailers that I kind of every once in a while I'll go on this like kick of like just going to YouTube and typing in trailers or trailer and just seeing what has come out recently because just to really mess with my algorithm, just like really make it about spam for a while. So I saw a couple. Um, One of them was Craven, the Craven DC
Yes.
trailer. Uh, I am not. I'll be blatantly honest. I am not a DC movie like the DCU fan. Like the normal DCU stuff. Not. I like the Batman. I thought that was good. I like some of the other weird edge case ones, but like their cinematic universe is just not. It does not hit fire for me. But I thought this looked interesting. I probably won't go see it day one. I may not go see it in theaters at all. I don't know, but it does seem to be of a differing quality than I think some of the other DC films appear to be. Or is it DC or am I thinking of it's Marvel, right? Wait a minute. Did I just go on a whole rant? Because
No,
Craven's was
it's
Spider-Man.
Sony. It's Sony Marvel. It's
That's what I
so
meant. So
it's
you're
not
right.
MCU. Yeah, yeah,
That's more what I mean. So I'm still not a fan of DC, but it's the Sony Marvel,
yeah.
the Smoosiu,
Smarvel,
um,
the Smarvel.
Smarvel. Yes,
Yeah,
the Smarvel universe. Yeah, but it looks better than some of their other stuff that they've done. It still has that tinge of like Sony on it, like that Sony tint. But it looks good. What did you get a chance to watch? I know you've been swamped,
yeah, I
but
did. And don't forget they have done some good stuff. I mean, Venom.
yeah,
Gotta be careful what I say because there's some friends of ours that really like Venom. The first Venom film I thought was really, really good, really, really
yeah,
good. So they do some good stuff, and let's not forget, we wouldn't have. I mean, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield,
yeah,
Spider-Man 2, and The Amazing Spider-Man 1. I thought were really
hmm,
solid films. So they
yeah,
they, they do they have done some good stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Um, Spider-Man 2 in particular, with Doc Ock, I thought was a phenomenal piece of work. Saying about 3, but there you go. Um, but yeah, no. They have done some good stuff, and they're what they've done with Venom, I thought was good, especially one. I'm not a fan of Mobius, but there's other reasons on top of the subject matter as to why I don't particularly like it. But yeah, I think it might be okay. And is it Aaron Taylor? Who's the actor? Is it Aaron Taylor
I think
Johnson?
Johnson Kick Ass. It's the guy from Kick Ass. I could always
Yeah,
forget
yeah,
his
yeah,
name.
yeah, yeah. No, he's a good actor. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw him in Bullet Train, but Bullet Train
yeah,
in recent years has been my kind of has 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 quenched my thirst for that kind of move. That kind of I was about to say Tarantino esque, but I'm sure people will.
my thoughts on him are he needs a new agent.
I
Like he is a much better actor than the roles that he gets, in my opinion. I don't know the guy personally, but it just seems
Well, he's
like
being touted for Bond, isn't he? He's being touted for Bond as well. Whether something will happen from that or not is another thing. But I need to get this guy's name right, otherwise I'm going to kill myself. Sorry, I'm going to kick myself because yeah,
dang
I
it,
was right. Oh, cool.
Aaron Taylor
Aaron
Johnson.
Taylor Johnson. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no. He's a good guy. He's a really, really good actor. And he's kind of the same ilk, shall we say, as others of his kind, albeit a little bit younger than the likes of um, Tom Hardy and the rest. That
Yeah,
take their craft quite seriously, and I really rate him. And like I said, I thought Bullet Train was amazing, and that came out at just the right time. I think we were in COVID when that came out, but that came out at just the right time because I thought none of us had seen anything like that kind of film, that kind of spoof crime horror pulp
yeah.
vibe for quite a while, and that came out at the right time, straight after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I thought was cool as well. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. What else did
So
you watch? See?
there's a couple more trailers. First of all, I forgot my leading point of what trend I think should stop the trailers that start with starting now is a trailer and here's a couple previews and then it kicks into the trailer. That can stop. That whole,
Yeah,
I'm talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
worst. I saw a trailer for a movie called Y2K. Have you seen this? If not, I
No.
think you should. It's at first glance it looks it reminds me. There's a reason I'm bringing this up. It reminds me of it's like based in like
It's not.
1999, the Y2K bug, and It's like it's like super it reminds me of like super bad, like a coming of age teenage flick, but then
Yeah,
it takes
yeah, yeah.
a hard right turn, and it reminds me of your favorite movie of all time,
Go on.
Hardware, because
Oh,
got
no way.
it's got I mean, minus all of like the edgelord grittiness of Hardware, um, but it's like, oh, the Y2K machines are trying to like from this is from the trailer. It's like they're trying to like kill people. They're like become evil and sentient. And so it's from like the guy or the
Oh
producer
my
who made
god, that looks amazing.
who made Hereditary. So it's like, okay, this could actually be like Hereditary, and I think Jonah Hill's like an executive producer or something on it too. So it's like this is gonna be bizarro, but I thought you'd appreciate that because I know how much of a hardware fan you are.
The R-rated film starring Rachel Zegler, Jaden Martell, and Julian Dennison, sorry, envisions a world where the Y2K computer virus predicted for the year 2000 actually unfolds. Brilliant. Brilliant.
It's gonna get
Oh,
like a
good
4 on
God.
Rotten Tomatoes, but it looked
Oh, of course it
interesting.
is. Yeah, of course it is. But it looks amazing. It looks absolutely amazing. Oh, man, I'm so up for that. That's right up my alley. Oh, brilliant.
Speaking
Thank you, mate.
speaking of Rachel Zegler, I did see the Snow White trailer, the live action Snow White one, which I will keep it brief on this, but I know there is a lot of hate for the live action Disney movies and a lot of like, oh, they're
Yeah.
not creative. But like, and I used to like, I'm not a huge fan of them. Like, I like my originals, but I think
No.
at the same time, like, the more I talk to my nieces and nephews and stuff, and like the kids, not all kids. I don't mean to generalize all children. Um, they like them. They dig them. Like they don't like the cartoon stuff as much. They like the live action stuff. So it's like, but this one seems funny
Well, the
because it seems like they're leaning
cartoon.
hard into the no, we're just gonna make a live action version of the literal story. Like it's not trying to be a live action kind of like a watered down version. It's like, nope, it's gonna be Snow White. She's wearing the same dress and everything. But I don't know. I thought it looked interesting.
But
I'll probably see it.
we, as people, we're quite selfish because
Hmm.
we think that everything is created for us. We think
Yeah.
that everything has been created for our entertainment and not somebody else's. And so, you look at the original Snow White; it's a work of art and it's beautiful, but it's only beautiful in the context of the art form that I can now appreciate that has dated extremely,
Yeah.
a heck of a lot. And that cartoon style in particular would be really, really hard to get a younger mind. The younger mind, does it appreciate the arts? I would suggest not. It appreciates the story and appreciates the messages that it's trying to get over. And so, a lot of these folk that hate either remakes or indeed live action versions of them, I say let them do it, because if it's not your entry point because you're an adult
Yep.
and you need to behave like an adult, it might be the entry point for somebody else,
Oh, and that's the thing.
significantly
It's and that's
younger than you, and
well,
it's
that's the
it's
thing. It's
kind of
like
like just get over it.
to your point about like people be thinking everything's for them. It's like, and we're also not great at like
Yeah,
acknowledging our growth, like in our tastes and also aging. Like we are not great about like real like Star Wars is a perfect example of like, oh, Star Wars is stupid. It's like you think maybe we're in a different headspace than we were, some of us in the
yeah.
70s, or the first time we saw it as kids or whatever. And it's like, and now
Surely
as
not.
adults, like
Surely not.
our tastes are different and like yada yada yada. So I don't know. I thought it was neat. I don't know if I'll go see it in theaters or not. It just depends. But
I
I
think
thought
it's.
it looked
I
cool.
think.
I
I
will
think.
watch it.
I think that stuff's good. And there was, unashamedly, that I thought one of my favorite Disney cartoons of all time, or animation of all time, was Mulan. And they did the
Nice.
live action Mulan, and it got a load of shit. And I don't get me wrong, I understand
They t-
why,
they took out the best
because
song.
of
They took out the best song.
Well, no,
That's
no,
why.
no, 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 no. I mean, because of where it was filmed and what was going on at that moment in
Oh,
time.
that's fair.
The location at the moment in time was not ideal. Um, but the film itself, I thought, was cracking. It really was. And members of my daughters, for example, that were the right age when Mulan, the cartoon, um, came out, didn't didn't warm to it because their entry point was the cartoon, or sorry, the animated feature.
Yeah.
But I really, really enjoyed it, and I thought it was great. And Aladdin recently, in recent years, I thought that was a good yarn. I mean, I didn't, I don't know, mm, the Will Smith genie was serviceable. Um, but it's really difficult when the bar is set so high. Not just the
Yeah.
animation, but the Robin Williams is his genie was just
Robin Williams is the genie.
phenomenal.
Like that's
Yeah,
hard
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
you can't
but
match
but the
that.
story itself, I thought was awesome.
Um,
I thought it was really, really well done. And it's like, well, it's the same story. Why you do it again? It's like, because there are probably two generations between you and the target audience that these guys are going for. So yeah, no, I'm not gonna knock it because it works. It does work.
mhm.
Anyway, anything else you picked up
I
in the
The last
news?
trailer is one that we've kind of seen, but I think a new one came out and that I really enjoyed. Like for Megalopolis, the
Yeah,
for I
yeah,
watched that this morning and it's like, oh dude, this I don't know. Did you see the one where it's like
yeah,
the first 2 minutes is just like the critics' reviews of all of his old films and how they're just
yeah.
garbage? And it's like, and then it goes into like Adam Driver. It's like, dude, this movie looks insane.
I
I
think it's
am
honestly batshit crazy. I'm so looking forward to it. It was so. I was so worried. I was really, really
yeah,
worried because it hasn't had a great it didn't get a great response. And I think a couple of weeks back I talked about a podcast that I listened that Josh, our buddy Josh, got me involved in, which was the Weekly Planet. And they had a guest on last week's episode. I wasn't even going to bring this in, but I'll tell you anyway. And he's a friend of theirs that's also his own content creator as well.
yeah, yeah.
And he's seen an early preview of the whole thing, or been involved in the preview. I won't give any spoilers away, but there's almost audience participation in this
Mm,
movie that's coming up, and he says it's fantastic. He loved every minute of it because it is so mental. It is so out there and insane, and to have someone, a smart guy with an objective mind, telling me with my
mhm,
with my earpods in that don't worry, don't listen to the naysayers, don't listen to the haters. You may not get this film, but I tell you what, it is an experience that you need to see in this in the cinema. Excuse me. So I'm really looking forward to it, and
same.
I'll worry about it later if it ends up being a pile of trash. But I can't believe a guy would put $100 million of his own money into something for it to be a load of rubbish.
I've spent $15 on worse things. I think I can sacrifice a movie ticket, even if it's bad or not. I'm not gonna take
Yeah.
that to my grave. But that's all the trailers and news besides the low hanging fruit that I'm sure we're gonna talk about. That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what news
So
do
I'll be
you
I'll be
have?
quick. So I'll be quick because I've just picked up a bunch of stuff that sparked my interest, and I'm sure I haven't. We, I should do a lot more research, but I don't. It's just stuff that I come across. So, Star Wars Outlaws is coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Yay!
In fact, it's coming out in 9 days' time, which I'm really looking forward to. And there's apparently a cosmetic tail wrap for Nix for Disney Plus customers in the US only. Now, I don't know what that means, and I've actually looked at what it means, and it's not that particularly impressive. But if you are based in the US, you have bought the game, or you have pre-ordered the game. apparently, if you're a Disney Plus customer in the US, you can get some aesthetics or some cosmetic stuff for your for Nix, which I believe is the little pet that you end up with, um,
I'm
by
intrigued in how that's gonna work.
some submitting a code of some sort. So I picked that up. That's more of a PSA than actually something that really interested me. But Shogun Series 2. So I'm going to butcher the guy's name again. Hiroyuki Sanada, Sanada, Sanada was interviewed recently, and he really, really hinted that they're going to do a season two of Shogun. Of course, it's not. If of course it's not clarified yet. You know, rumors, rumors, rumors. But you've got the main. You know, what I consider who I consider one of the three main leads saying, you know, of course they're considering it, and of course there will be a story after the book because of course season one finishes with the end of the book. The fact that he's confident that there is, or sorry, should we say a little bit cryptic, that
Mhm.
there's a second season coming, that warms my heart when I'm feeling a bit shit about other things. Dark Matter season two confirmed. Our buddy Turbo again, thank you Turbo, confirmed that Dark Matter season two is confirmed. So this is the program that I've been talking wax lyrical about over recent weeks and if not months, that I thought had been tied up with a nice bow. Season two's confirmed. I would like to think that the season one story is over, and they were, but they did leave it for other members of the cast to have their own story. So I hope they go down that line rather than disrupt the good vibes that I got from the main story closing up. But we'll see. Um, if you remember when we first started talking about Alien, the film I saw on Monday, I got confused between it being a TV series or indeed being a movie. And
Yes.
the Alien Earth TV series has actually, sorry, the Alien TV series has been confirmed for 2025. It's currently under production at the moment, and it's been called it's called Alien Earth. I believe it's set 100 years or so prior to the original incident on the Nostromo. So exciting. I'll take anything from that franchise whatsoever. I really will. Tomb Raider. I don't know if you're a Tomb Raider fan of the game or the films, but I picked up that there is an animated cartoon series coming out on Netflix in October called Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft. Um, I must admit, I I'm pretty ambivalent to the whole thing. I'm not really that bothered
Yeah.
about it, but it's interesting. Um, I
Netflix
really
is
enjoyed.
really, really hit or miss with some of their animation stuff. Like some of them I really enjoy, like the Masters of the Universe shows that I,
Yeah,
for some reason, always watch at the same time and get really confused with each other when I think about them in
yeah,
retrospect. But like those are really good, but some other things are just like dog water. So I'll probably like give it a shot, like see what it looks like. But
yeah,
I'm not like
yeah.
woohoo, let's go.
I did like. I mean, being an old retro old fart that I am, I did enjoy Tomb Raider on the PS1. Um, and then two, but mainly the one because, and then obviously Angelina Jolie comes in and takes over, and I must admit I didn't enjoy that interpretation of Lara Croft, and then obviously the new they introduced in the gaming world the Tomb Raider, the back to basics, Lara's
Yeah.
first mission, or Laura, yeah,
Mhm.
Lara's first mission. She's stranded. She doesn't have pistols. She's got to fashion her own not crossbow, sorry, bow and arrow set up. And I really enjoyed that grittiness and the film in recent years kind of reflected that back to basics, stripped down. She doesn't have a fortune. She doesn't have her wealth. She doesn't have all the equipment. And I really,
Mhm.
really enjoyed that. And then, of course, it didn't make the money that it needed to in the box office, and they kind of closed all that down, which is I thought was a shame. So we'll see where this goes. I mean, I'm not openly gonna, I'm not actively gonna look at it, but like yourself, I'll check it out. Um, and then that leaves the last bit of news. But I think both of us are alluding from the beginning is that Star Wars Acolyte, the series that we've both enjoyed talking about together for what was it, 8 weeks, seems to be cancelled. I say seems to be cancelled because I think this information is coming from the press and not from Disney themselves. But
Coming from Deadline.
yeah,
Yeah.
talk about it, man. I mean, what's your thoughts?
Um, I'm trying to think like how to put it. Frankly, it's like I'm not losing sleep over it. Like that's a weird way to say it, but like I'm not upset because I think one until like it's business and it's the way things are. It's like okay, it wasn't renewed. That doesn't mean it's gone forever. Like hell, they brought back
Hmm.
Clone Wars, a cartoon, years later for like a partial thing, and then made Bad Batch after. It's like I'm it does suck from my side of things of like, yeah, it would be nice to get that, but then like I always go into like that analytical side of things of like, okay, we do have the Mandoverse stuff really starting to kind of like get frothy and start being interconnected. We got the movie coming out. We got the culmination of that Mando, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, all that kind of stuff coming to a head in the next couple years. We also have the start and push of a Ray movie plus anything else. And it's like, I think we've seen historically with Star Wars that like, yes, we as the hardcore fans love all new content, but they do need to be strategic about it. Otherwise, we're gonna get a solo release where people, the
Yeah,
normies, or even not everybody go into it like, what, when is this, who is that, like, oh, is Rogue One, is the Jin Ray, like what is happening? So i I think my optimistic side of things is saying like maybe it's not renewed immediately for next year or whatever immediate development, but I don't believe that it's shelved. It's truly like this thing was terrible, remove it from the masses and pretend it never happened. It feels more like a we've got too many irons in the fire right now and we need to be focused instead of trying to create a billion different pieces of Star Wars content. Like I'm sure some people are going to look at that and go, "That's dumb." Like we need more content. Like they have a lot of people that can figure it out, but I think there is a strategic element there. It would be nice to see season two. I'm hoping. I,
yeah,
I do think
I
the stories will get told, but I don't know when.
yeah, I think that the whole Disney confuses me. They do confuse me because it's not about what they have said often; it's about what they haven't said often,
Mhm.
and or what they allow to be said often, which is typically off the record or whatever it is. But my point being is that it's really odd because um, the Acolyte I felt was a good story every
Mhm.
single week. A I think one of the things I said both to you and to the guys over at Spelt Out was um, it, what I like about it is that it just creates questions. It
Mhm.
creates an environment where we can speculate week on week, and sometimes the speculation isn't worth it because it landed the obvious, the narrative or sort of the story or the plot landed the way that we was quite obvious, and sometimes it took a tangent. Um, but it but again, I respected it for what it was, and I certainly respect it for the demographic that it may well have intentionally, but certainly did appeal to, and I really, really
Yeah.
love that. I
Yeah.
genuinely love that. But for me, I just respect it for what it tried to do, which was outside of that restrictive Skywalker saga shtick and all of the assumptions and the preconceptions and the expectations that come with that. It could have been something fresh and bright. Um, but I must admit, when in the early days of learning about it, I kind of assumed the way it was being spoken about was it was a one and done exercise. It was kind of like, this
Mhm.
is an experiment. We're going to dabble here and see what
Yeah.
happens. And then
It's like
during
proof
the
of
airing
concept.
of the yeah, yeah, and then during the airings of the season, week on week, we got an awful lot of information directly from Leslie and her team and her support team, which I thought was lovely. But what came with that was a I wouldn't say some pretty bad expectation management, because that wouldn't be fair on Leslie, but an awful lot of politicking, maybe,
Yeah. Yeah.
to try to kind of muster this kind of. I mean, she talked about openly about there being 2, 3, 4 seasons in her mind that will take it forward. And of course, without it being green lit, that's not fair on her in particular,
Yeah. Yeah.
because the bro boys that wanted the thing cancelled feel as if they're vindicated, because they've been able to stop her having a second, third, and fourth
And I think
season. But
that
it's really disappointing for people that really, really enjoyed it. Us, because we enjoyed it, but also friends of ours that actually really, really connected to it, and perhaps felt that some of the other content they couldn't connect to. And it's just like, nobody wins. Nobody wins, actually. It's not a case of one side winning and one side losing.
yeah.
Nobody wins, because it's just, especially the creators don't win, because I don't understand the logic sometimes of the PR machine, or the social media machine, or the media machine in general, that is Lucasfilm and Disney, because they don't do themselves any favors whatsoever. Had it been a standalone, positioned as a standalone um, season, and like other properties,
Mhm.
left it to the public to create the excitement and the demand for it, um, they could plan around that accordingly. But because they kind of set expectations that there was another second season in the works, it's just bloody unfair. It's really, like I said, it's really unfair on the creators, because they have to face a bunch of fucking idiots, quite frankly, online saying,
Well,
"Ah, we stopped you." Well,
I'm
really?
glad
Well,
you,
they
and I'm
haven't
glad you,
stopped anything, because they didn't stop. Sorry to interrupt, but they didn't stop anything, because nothing was actually confirmed. So it's really
yeah.
unfair on those people, on those people, and those
Well, I'm glad you said that.
and those cynic in particular can go and fuck off, because they haven't won a damn thing. And like I said, most importantly, is the people that the season connected to the most, that somehow may well feel disheartened now. And to your point, going back to your point, sorry, I will finish. I promise you. There's no news. There is no news. So there's a good
Yeah.
chance that we still may well get season two in 3 years' time, or in 2 years' time, or whenever it will be. Or it may well be called something else. But the point being is that the story that we grew to start to love, which ended so abruptly at the end of season one, may well carry on. But the point being is that everyone's already jumping to conclusion
Yep.
that it's done, and that we've lost, or those guys have won. And it's like, come on, guys. Sorry, mate.
No, no, no worries. I mean, I'm glad you said that, because I think that's like the connective tissue for a thought that I've had, that you saying that first will make my beliefs make more sense. That I think you're giving me the words there. That I think that's the hardest part, the most disappointing part about all of this, is that I know that the immediate reaction and thoughts are, like, in the social consciousness, is that, oh, it was canceled because of its reception and because of the backlash. And
Yeah, bullshit.
and I know I've said this a million times before. It's like, I am a firm believer that that is just complete horseshit. Like, it's a like they aren't looking at the discourse on Twitter in the depths of the bowels of the internet and being like, well, we've really upset the the comments on Instagram every time Star Wars posts something are just absolutely vile. We should cancel this show. It's like, no, like the viewership numbers probably have something to do with it, but it's like I think that's the other leg is what you said of like it sucks because the expectations that were communicated purposefully or not about oh it could be continued leads like the mingling of business decisions and like the social consciousness like to me are too connected. It's like oh it set everybody's expectations like oh there's going to be a second season and so then when they don't renew it or at least reportedly don't renew it that leads the social consciousness to believe that like oh the people who hated it won and not just because they won and there's that belief but it's now it's just going to fuel that fire even more when there is something else that people
When
perceive they
did
do not like.
I this is a pop culture element that I have only really switched on to in the last, let's say, 5 years. When did when did a season, and there are websites that are there is social media um, content that's focused on this, but when did season renewals be an annual thing? So, for example, I'll go to a particular website. I'm not going to mention any names, and to say what's been renewed and cancelled this year. And there's
Yeah.
a huge sigh. There's a huge roll across the roll of eyes across the pop culture fan base, or about oh, this has been renewed, this hasn't been renewed. It's like when did it become when did it become a thing that confirmation of whether a season is renewed or cancelled, when did that become an annual event?
Well,
Because
I think it maybe it was, but streaming has what's really thrown a wrench in that
right,
in the
okay.
last 10, 15 years because it's like you look at shows like Stranger Things that release a season once every fucking 20 years, it feels like.
Yeah.
And like nobody's flipping the gourd on that, but it's like it's one article that come out. Like to me, I don't know the business, but it feels like it's like, hey, we're doing budgets for the next round of 1 year, 2 years, or whatever. It's like, yes, we are not renewing the Acolyte for an immediate renewal for the next set of production timelines. Like you done
Yeah,
budgets,
that's
you've
my
worked in
point.
business.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah,
point.
it's like
Because you want to be you want to be able to. I mean, the pre-production, production, and post-production process needs a decent amount of time, and prior to that, there's something called planning, which
yeah,
I'm assuming that they all do. So, I mean, it's kind of like, well, we've got no plans at the moment. We want to we've just finished. We want to let this whole thing gestate for a while, and then we're going to work out
to
what to do next. Then just leave it as that. I mean, what the
to put
I
it
don't
to
get this. Even with sorry to interrupt, but even with
no,
Stranger
no, you're
Things,
right.
we get told that season 5 is renewed and it's the last one. It's like, w- just why do you need to do that? Why do you? Is it for investors? Is it for us? Is it for? Is it for? Is it for? I
It's for
mean,
it's for clicks. It's for clicks. It's for clicks on these dumbass websites where they want to leak this stuff because it gets eyes on it and it
yeah, yeah,
creates
yeah,
like
yeah. No,
it's
I
the
get it.
middlemen who are driving it. Like to put it briefly from my side of things, it's like this is kind of made me kind of summarize it briefly of like to me, it's not a no. It's just a not right now. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't
yeah.
look and plan forever. Like I know that they have these things like these big budget things that are movies like 2026, 2027, 2028, and whatever. But to me, a lot of those are still in early planning. And when it's a movie, you those have a lot bigger runway than a television series, especially like with the volume and streaming and yada yada yada, and $180 million. Like it's more of a no, you're not getting immediately renewed. We're not going to invest that in for an immediate season. Let's revisit
Yeah, I
whenever
just
how
don't.
what the frequency of these things are. Like that's how
I
I
just
feel
don't
about it.
understand. I just don't. I guess I don't understand why studios aren't taking some ownership about managing expectations and not allowing, should we say, battle lines to be drawn between factions across the fan base, and
Well, because at the end of
they
the day,
could manage expectations relatively easy by saying, "Hey, I'm really glad you enjoyed it. We haven't got any plans for the future because we put our entire ore into this season. But we love the feedback that we've been given so far. We're certainly, never say never. Leave it as that. In the meantime, look out for these new. The problem they've got, actually, no, sorry. The problem they've got is that they have promised a slate of content for so long, and half of it has been cancelled. The rest has gone into development limbo or development hell, and we don't have. I'm sure an awful lot of this would be a lot more palatable had we known. If you and I could see a year and or maybe 2 years ahead as to what the content looked like, then this would just be a rumor,
well, I
I
think that's the
think.
thing. I think it's
But we've got
like
nothing else. That's the
we
problem.
we
And
as
again,
we
that's
as
down to that's
consumers.
not down to that's not down. Sorry to interrupt again. That's not down to these shitty creators that want to stir up trouble. Yes, that's what they do, and yes, they are stirring up trouble. But it could all be put to bed if we had a relatively decent slate plan as to what the years ahead looks like, which would kind of almost vindicate these Disney not having any plans at this moment for season two. Sorry, I
I
went
think
off on
that,
one.
but I think that's the thing. I think it's I think we as consumers tend to look in that direction of like, oh my god, I can't believe all these projects have been canceled. Shit changes production, oh whatever, whatever. But it's like I'm of the other stance of like, I just wish they'd stop telling us stuff like that far in advance.
Mm,
Like go back to I feel like how it used to be, at least from my
mm,
perspective. I could be wrong, but it's like we have such a window. Like we are too far behind the curtain. Like yes, it is exciting. It is exciting to keep it in the conscious. I'm not a marketer, I'm not a PR person, but I'm sure there's an element of like, hey, if you tell people stuff far enough in advance, it keeps it in their consciousness, it keeps them engaged, even if like bad PR is even good PR, like at the end of the day. But I wish we would like rein that in and go back to how it was of like, hey,
yeah,
this movie's coming out in 2 years and like
yeah,
it's being filmed now. It's like, holy shit. Not this like, we think we've got a producer and we've got an idea and
yeah.
there's no dates
That's
and no thing. Like rein that back in. And
yeah.
then it's
I mean,
less like
if
I don't need to know about shit coming out 6 years from now. It's exciting, but if I don't know about it, it doesn't hurt me. Like
and
then I'm
what
not
was great
disappointed.
about exactly, and what was great about the prequels, for example, was that they gave an awful lot away. I don't know if you remember, especially during the Clone Wars, when Clone Wars was being filmed, they would show an awful lot of behind the scenes as it's being filmed, and then on top of that, they'd also introduced the merch before the film came out as well.
Mhm.
But that was for content. That was for content that was locked, that was done.
Yeah.
It's being filmed, it's being produced at this moment in time, and then things like the merch and the figures and all that kind of stuff gave you the opportunity to speculate as to who that individual was. Sometimes that individual ended up being relatively
Nobody.
obsolete.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah.
Obsolete, but it gave you that excitement towards it. So that's a moment in time. They gave you that excitement. They gave you that. They generated that excitement, despite the film being 2.5 years away. But to your point, they're sharing less of they're closing down, or they've got tightly locked the production side of the movie, and they're
Mhm.
sharing the a lot earlier in the production process when it hasn't even been baked yet, which I think is
Yeah.
crazy. Which is the
What
reason why
uh,
the likes
that's
of
part of the
you and I,
connectivity. Yeah.
and certainly people like none of this merchandise is now available at launch anymore because of this whole. thing around locking down the content itself. And
Yeah.
I think that whoever manages their socials, or whoever manages their whole PR, needs to really think about what works and what doesn't, and what will get folk excited. Because at the moment, I don't know about you, but you hear about something that's planned 2, 3, 4 years away from now. I keep thinking to myself, well, is it? Is it? It's a bit like the boy
Yeah.
that cried wolf. I've been told this so many times now. Is it really? Oh, we've got another producer now. To your point, we've got another director now. To your point, it's like, is this one going to turn up? Where's Gareth
Well, it's
Edwards? Where? Not Gareth Edwards. Sorry.
yeah.
Where's Ryan's trilogy? Where's what's going on, guys?
And look, and
Anyway,
I know, like, I'm not naive. Like, I know that I'm aware that it's incredibly complicated. Like, we live in different times now. We have on one hand, we have like shareholder capitalism where we have massive amounts of money going into these projects and they
yeah.
want return at all costs because all of our 401ks or retirements are dependent on the line going up. Like, as much as we want to pretend we're not the bad guys, we're all invested in some way, in one way, shape, or form. But the billionaires
Hmm.
more than others. So it's like the line has to go up, but at the same time, with the social connectivity of like social networks and like our our collective need to be in the loop and like the desire to know, like,
Mm,
opened that can of worms to be fed information, but,
mm,
like, now we've peeked behind the curtain. Like, and also there's a whole media industry who is making like, it's their livelihood to get clicks, to get this information, push it out, and it's an industry now. And so but now we are too far behind the curtain to say like, "Oh, hey, wait, sometimes projects, like, don't pan out." Like, this just I mean, I could only imagine if people, if, like, customers or users had a peek at, like, my engineering roadmap, like, truly to the level that we do with movies. It's like, "Hey, we're building this feature in 4 years," and then, like, I'm sitting here going, "I don't know what I'm doing in 3 weeks." Like, there's a
mm,
belief that the business has, but, like,
mm.
as an individual contributor, it's like, this is some bull crap. Like, there is like, we're all saying 9 different things, and so, the fact that the movie industry or media industry is like this, it's like, how do you unring the bell or how do you pull it back? I feel like we are approaching that time now that kind of like social media seems to kind of be swinging in both directions of like hyper extreme, but also people are kind of
Mm,
wanting less connection. So maybe this is an opportunity for these companies to be like, let's give them less like, and that's kind of where the leaks thing cracks down. Of like, we can't give Hasbro the story or the molds or the models years in advance to have them available on time because we don't have a story. Like, we've taken these 8-year windows for like the prequels to get made and stories to be
mm,
like baked, and we've crammed them down into like a year and a half from like previs story writing to like principal photography and like wrapping shooting. Like, all those timelines have been smashed together. So it's like, I get it from all sides. Like, I just wish, to me, like, one of the biggest things that would help is like, just stop announcing things. Like, we're not going anywhere.
yeah, yeah,
With
yeah,
Star Wars fans are going to stick around.
yeah.
Like, I feel like
And that's why
Marvel's
I'm
done a good
saying.
job at doing it.
That's why I'm
Yeah.
saying. And I'm in 100% agreement. And just to close this out, I'm saying exactly the same thing you are. Stop announcing things that are speculative at the moment, and I would say until you start shooting, everything is speculative. Um, and start and divert your fan base's interests into what's in production at the moment,
Mhm.
and that includes the merch as well, because that will
Yeah.
sustain the hype by making it accessible before. I mean, you'd have to put the whole premise of the character on the back of the packaging, for God's sakes. You can just leave it. This character is called Nana Lubaba, and that's it. And that's it. And then we can spend the next year or so speculating as to who that person is.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you, and I just think that it's such a shame the way it's turned out, because I can't believe I can't believe that we live in a world where folk felt very connected to the Acolyte,
Mhm.
and that those folk that hated the Acolyte will get their way because it connected with way, way too many people. Anyway, I live in a world of hope, I guess, and maybe through
I
rose-colored
do
spectacles, but
I did just have an
I
epiphany
can't
about
believe
something
it's
there.
over.
That's my final point that I'll make, I promise, then I'll move on. I think if they did that, because I think it has an effect that they maybe I'm sure they know, somebody knows. Like, if they pulled back on the announcements and the promises, then I think that would help drive engagement in other ways. Like, I had the epiphany while talking about this. That's like, that is the reason why I have pulled back on the books and comics because I don't have a need. I am being fed in other ways with promises of future content years out that I can get excited about
Yeah.
and talk about, but it comes to zero tangible outcomes. But what that is doing is it's making me not read because I'm not craving more Star leading up to The Force Awakens, I read everything up
Oh, amen.
through,
We all
like,
did.
those things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
'Cause it's like but then it got to the point where it's like, we got Mando coming, we got Ahsoka, we got this. It's like, oh my god, I don't even need I can't now like, I think that's been to the detriment of the High Republic books. It's like, I don't need to
Yeah.
get invested in High Republic because, well, 1, there's a billion books now, but it's also like, no, I got all this TV content. It's like, let it be a multimedia thing of like TV, movies, books, and comics. Make them maybe not
And
first
that's
class
another thing.
citizens, but second class citizens again, and like let that content live and breathe a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree. Let it germinate. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's another thing is that I saw this as a gateway from the High Republic. Our buddy Rick talks about it, wax lyrical.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting listening to him talking about what's happening in that universe or in that timeline. And then we get the Acolyte. It's like, so are you really going to put that much investment, that much marketing effort into? We're not just talking about the Acolyte here. We're talking about the High Republic. Are you
Mhm.
really going to let that go after one attempt? Bearing in mind the collateral that you've got, that you've built, um, and the emotional, how can I put it? The emotional well-being that you have, or positivity, sorry, that you have generated with fans of the High Republic. What does that say about the entire multimedia experience that we were building? That didn't it have a
Oh,
project name?
100%. Luminous or whatever
Project.
it was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The point being is that I mean, this is. I cannot believe this is the end. I just refuse to believe this is
Yeah,
the end.
same.
And I think that the way that they could have, again, expectation management on their part, really, really important at times like this, especially when it comes down to dealing with assholes that just want to hate on everything. Anyway,
My hope, I'm hopeful too that it's not a no, it's a focusing on priorities and a maybe even a collective effort to realign more things in line with that same story.
yeah,
That'd be cool if we
yeah,
had
yeah,
an Acolyte verse. That
yeah,
would be
yeah,
cool. Multiple series,
yeah,
but I'm hopeful
yeah.
to my own detriment at times. But anyways, that we talked about that for a lot longer than I thought we would. Holy cow.
Well,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
big deal, and it's a big deal. It's more of a big deal for some than more than others, and you and I enjoyed it every week, and we spent a lot of time talking about it actually,
Hmm.
and over the weeks we've discovered just how important it is to some of our friends, and it's just sad. It's just saddening. Anyway, what are you watching? What are you listening to? What have you been reading in the last week, mate? Let's talk about something positive.
I finished Loki season 2. I finally it
Oh
was like,
wow!
let's do it. Let's do it. I've been slowly trickling along for a while. Finally, I just like buckled down and got those last 3 episodes out of the way. And you know what? It was it was a rocky start in the beginning. The first couple episodes are like, what? Like it's kind of me debating. I'm like, am I half awake when I watch them? Because it's like
Yeah,
full throttle. But then by the end of that season, it is different than season 1. It's a different feeling, but like I really enjoyed it. It's it's you have to pay attention. It's like those other shows where you're talking about. It's like you kind of have to like you can't have it on in the background and be like, oh, kind of watching. You really need to be like, what in the heck is going on? But I liked how it ended. I get why it doesn't get the fanfare because of all the Kang stuff and his like removal from MCU. So I get that it's like not, but it was a good series. Like I enjoyed it. Um, Wild ending. I do recommend if you've started it, if you're invested in Loki, watch it. I also started watching For All
Can
Mankind.
I?
I finally started it. Oh, go ahead, go Loki. Let's go back to
Oh,
Loki.
sorry. Can I ask you about Loki? Is I didn't start or finish season 2, but obviously Deadpool and Wolverine um, feature an awful lot of the T. What are they called?
TVA, Time
TVA.
Variance Authority. Yeah.
Do I? Is it worth watching Loki season 2 to get some connective understanding with what's going on in Deadpool and Wolverine, or is it not necessary?
I don't feel like it's necessary for Deadpool and Wolverine, but I have a strong feeling that it is going to be critical to everything that comes after this because it just seems like all the upcoming movies and shows are really heavily leaning into the
Right.
TVA multiverse kind of concept. And I think there's just one, I think that it's a good season. I think it has some good lore, like with a TVA, and it gives you some satisfying bits for Loki, like Loki and the characters in
That's
Loki.
cool.
And like, I enjoyed it. Like, it was hard at first. I'm like, I just can't get into it. But it's definitely like a binge kind of season. Like, if I had to watch this week to
Yeah,
week,
yeah.
I'd probably be pretty pissed. But like, if you can make it through those first couple episodes without going like, what in the world is going on? Like, just get through it. And it's like, oh, those last handful are like, just kind of like Masters of the Air, a little bit of like, but minus like the dragging out repetitiveness is more of like a
Yeah,
what is
yeah.
happening, and the next thing you know, it's like rampant. It's just full bore
Okay.
blazing through
Okay.
it. I enjoyed
So
it.
so moving on to For All Mankind. What do you think so
Yes,
far?
I'm 2 episodes in, and I'm liking it so far.
Good. Good,
uh,
good, good, good.
I literally just started it. I was debating between like that and Dark Matter. I'm like, I know everybody talks about For All Mankind. Let's plug and chug on this. And I keep forgetting. Sidebar. I'm gonna make a note. There's a new animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle show that hit streaming, and I need to watch it, and I haven't watched it yet. Like TMNT. I need to make a note because I need to watch it.
I've
But
got
For All Mankind,
I've got
very good.
cyber I've got Cyberpunk as well. So Cyberpunk on Netflix. I've got it in my it's the only it's the last remaining thing I've got on my phone, my big humongous phone that you laugh at me for. It's
Your
the
Microsoft
only animated.
Surface.
Shut up, not bad. Sorry, I downloaded. Sorry, I downloaded. You shitbag. Obviously. Um, anyway, yeah, I downloaded Cyberpunk to my phone, and I still haven't watched it. I still haven't watched it. And I really want to finish that because I hear from an awful lot of people that so it's in my notes for all
Do you ever?
to watch it. But For All Mankind, you're gonna love it, mate. The don't forget it's made for TV, so sometimes the effects will feel a bit cheap. Um,
If you, it
but
reminds me of The
but the
Expanse
story,
a lot. It's like very kind of
yeah,
cheap
yeah, yeah,
effects, but
exactly,
it's got a
exactly,
good story to it.
exactly. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you can see through that because it did get a little bit of stick actually for the effects. It's like, guys, it's a TV series and it's done on a budget. Not we're not talking about other productions
It's
that
not
we're not talking about House of the Dragon here. We're talking about a regular TV program kind of budget with a little bit of SFX in it. No,
yeah.
I'm really glad. And when you get to I don't know end of season 1, we'll talk more about it. But I'm glad you get stuck in. Such a good series. It really is.
Do you ever have it when you're like sitting down? I assume you sit down to watch television or whatever. Do you ever have
Yeah,
it when you sit down and you're like, what should I watch? And you pull it up and you're looking at all of this stuff that we talked about, like Cyberpunk or TMNT
yeah.
or all these other things that are like on your watch list. And it's like they all just look like you've never seen them before. It's like, this is all garbage. But then, like, as soon as you're not sitting down, it's like, God, I have like 9 things I want to watch. But when I sit down to
Yeah.
look at them, it's like, it all looks like I'm looking at a different language. I'm like, what is this turtles? That looks
Yeah,
stupid.
yeah.
Why would I watch that? But then I'm
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
it
But
drives
also
me nuts.
but it's also the back of my mind saying to myself, "Okay, if you jump in, you're gonna have to commit."
Yeah.
And sometimes, I don't know about you, but I'm sitting down at the end of the day and I'm like, "I can't be able to commit." I mean,
Yeah.
for me, I'm sure I've told you this before. For me, at the end of the day, and if I wanna switch my brain off, I stick on Blade Runner 2049 because I know I'll be asleep in 15 minutes. And that's not because I don't love that film. It's because I love that film. It's because I
I
love
put,
that film.
what do you think I put on when I want to go to sleep? If you had to guess. No wrong answers. I'm just curious. Putting you on the spot.
Muppets. It's going to be the Muppets, right?
How it's made on YouTube. I
Oh,
love
okay,
that
fine.
show.
All right, fine.
Fuck, I love that show. God,
Okay.
I love that show. So you want to know how
But
aluminum
so
baseball bats are made? I can tell you.
no, no. Anyway, the point I'm trying to get to is that no, I understand. So when you look at I look at my list on Netflix or I look at my saved list on Prime, and it's like that means I'm going to commit, and if I commit now, I'm going to forget about it and have to go back and rewatch it. So no, I'm with you, mate. But please take your time with For All Mankind. We've got an
Yeah,
eternity to be able to talk about this together because I love it, absolutely love it.
nice.
Anything else, mate?
Well, I did watch the latest episode of Sunny, but one of us, not going to name names, didn't. So we will talk about that
I
next
didn't.
next week. It's
I
so
didn't.
like I'm saying this to the
I'm
listener.
really
I'm saying
sorry,
this to the
man.
viewers. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It gives me time to process it because you know what? It's a banger. Um, you can tell that like Rashida Jones posted on her Instagram recently, like, "Hey, season's coming to a close. You should watch Sunny." And it's like, ooh, it feels like they're ramping up like the marketing of like, "Hey, it's like getting good," but they're not really saying that. It's it's getting it's getting good, and
It's
I'm
getting good.
excited to talk to you about it. It's getting. I mean, it's already good, but it's like,
So it
ooh,
so
ooh, it's
new
getting
episodes
good.
new episodes come out on a Wednesday. And when they come out on a Wednesday, I typically try and use my lunch hour to catch up so that we can talk in the evening. I've had no lunch hour today, mate, and I've got straight into recording. So my humble apologies for not catching up. I promise
It's
you,
a,
I will
it's totally fine,
use
buddy.
my extended weekend, and we will catch up next week.
I'm just building your
Anything
hype
else,
for
bud?
it. I'm getting setting high expectations. Um, I don't think so. I think that's all I've been watching, I believe.
Okay, so
What
I
about you?
have been busy. I have been busy. I have been busy. Um, apart from Sunny, which is timing because I was up to date last week, so I had between last week and today to fill my week, and we've burned through the Umbrella Academy the final season, season 4.
Nice.
It's a short season. It's only 6 episodes. I don't know if have you watched the other 3 seasons?
I have not. No,
Okay, fine. Okay, so I won't ruin it for
but you
you.
could. But no, you could talk. You could talk about it. It's pretty low on my list right now, unless you're like, it's
No,
the
no, no,
greatest
no,
thing
no,
ever made.
no. I'll be honest with you because I want to crack on with my what I thought about Alien. So, no, it's great. The Umbrella Academy is like its graphic novel is an alternative take on superheroes. They're a bunch of children that have been mutated by their adopted father for nefarious well, no, sorry, for to be trained as children as superheroes. Um, their father is relatively nefarious in his reasons behind it and his own background, and they ended up and it's just fun. It's funny and serious in a
Mhm.
series. I'd like it's more of a I would say it's more of a meaningful version of The Boys, if that sorry, more of a how can I compare it to The Boys? I can compare it to The Boys in the context of it being an alternative take on superheroes. Number one,
Yeah.
but number two, it's all about this found family. So these are all adopted children that have been mutated to be superheroes, and there's an awful lot of beauty in that story, in that they are this found family that fight one minute and fight as a family the next.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and pretty much the entire series has been about one of them by hook or by crook ending the universe, basically causing so much destruction, either inadvertently or on purpose because they were in a bad mood, um, and the rest of them trying to save them from that, save the universe from that moment. It's really, really cleverly done. It's really, really well done. I'm not sure how close to the source material it is, because I never read the graphic novel, but it's really, really good. And season four, which is only 6 episodes, has just concluded, and the story ends. But it's a very, very all I say, it's a very, very bittersweet ending. Um, what had to happen in order for the universe to stop going through this season by season threat of
Mhm.
apocalypse and destruction meant an awful lot of sacrifices, and it was beautifully done, really, really well done. Bearing in mind half the time it's a comedy, the ending to it, I'm not ashamed to say there was a tear in my eye. So that was really, really good to burn through that with Lucy.
Nice.
Um, I did my job, um, and I've watched part one of Rebel Moon director's cut. I found some time. I found 3 hours that I'll never get back in my life. 3.5 hours, sorry, that I'll never get back in my life to watch Rebel Moon part one, the Snyder cut. Um, how do I explain this? Does it make the film better? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it makes the film a little bit better in that the bits that he's added on adds context to um two people's stories in particular in the in the in across both films that are either meaningless. One of them is so incidental, such an incidental character that you don't even know why they're there, and the
Yeah.
other one is so their background is so bizarre that you don't understand how they transitioned through the movie or the two movies, sorry, to be where they are in the end. So I mean, it's not a secret. Um, there's an android or robot in both movies that's played by Anthony Hopkins or voiced by Anthony Hopkins, and he turns it into this kind of very spiritual, very nomadic character that's in touch with himself, his spirituality, his self of worth, and most importantly, nature. Throughout the series, throughout both films, and in the original take of the films, it didn't make any sense because he'd go from the progression was so out of context to the story itself that it didn't
Mhm.
make any sense at all. So having that extra dialogue and that extra narrative there was a good thing. Um, the rest of it is basically further explanation, which I thought was quite good in that it kind of, especially at the beginning, the opening of the film, it provides context to the bad guys, and it really underlines why they're so nasty, rather than being a moustache twirling bad guy that turns up at the beginning of the movie and just starts wreaking havoc on everything. It it,
Yeah.
it establishes them with a lot more context as to why they're just nasty bastards. And then the rest of the other changes is that originally it was a PG, and he's made this a rated 15 movie, I think it's rated 15. So basically, where you had shooty shooty zappy zappy, you still have shooty shooty zappy zappy, but people's heads explode and there's a load of blood. I mean, there's blood everywhere. There's blood absolutely everywhere. And then the last thing, sorry, is that there's an awful lot of nudity. Snyder's loving his sex scenes, very protracted sex scenes. I mean, I was quite impressed actually, but these very protracted sex scenes in this this more adult themed version.
Mhm.
Does it make the story any better? Yes. Does it make it massively better? No.
Does it make it
Um,
good? Considering the time investment too, like, is it a
I
recommend?
think it's if you remember my first review the first time round, I said watch it because it's a televisual. I mean, it is spectacular. It's spectacular, absolutely spectacular in terms of visual effects, in terms of some of the stuff. You know, if you switch your brain off and don't think about it too hard. Um,
Yeah,
I definitely would recommend this version over the original PG-13 version because it didn't make sense. But you do have that extra hour and a half, or that extra hour, sorry, to have to invest into watching it. If you're not bothered about, I mean, it's not going to be a franchise. It's not going to be. I know it was his take on Star Wars. I know the intention was going to be a a new franchise that will take us into the future.
yeah.
No,
Well, 'cause that's what I was gonna ask you. It's like,
I'm talking
what is the
literally. It's not. It's not going to do that because there are so many tropes. And I said this the first time I reviewed the first time, or thought about the PG-13 the first time.
yeah,
It's not. It lends too many. It borrows so many tropes from other sci-fi that it
mhm,
can't be its own thing. It physically
yeah,
cannot be its own thing. It's not. It's
yeah.
not. It it doesn't. It's not original enough to do that. But if you're okay with that, then I'd say yeah, watch it.
Well, 'cause that's what I was gonna ask you. It's like, what do you feel like the purpose of this was? Like, was it to create a new franchise, to be the next Avatar, to be the next Star Wars, whatever? Or is it just like I don't remember who wrote it, but like, is it just their megalopolis? It's like, oh, I have this vision and I'm gonna see it through, gosh darn it, and I'm gonna make something huge.
I've no
Like,
idea, man. I've no idea. I've no idea. I thought he actually wrote it as well. I thought this has been his brainchild. This was what he was. I think this is what he proposed to Disney. This is what he proposed to Disney as being his Star Wars, and they said no, thanks, but no thanks. And he, uh, yeah, from a screenplay he co-wrote with Kurt Johnstad and Shay Hatton. So it's his baby. It's his baby. So um, it can't be. Well, hey, listen, stranger things have happened. Um, if it becomes its own
will
thing, then fine.
will there be a part
But like I
two?
said,
Is the question.
well, there already is a part two, and I haven't watched that yet.
Oh, oh, okay.
So this movie is part one and part two, and I've seen both of them. And
Hmm.
the director's cut is part one and part two, and I haven't watched part two of the director's cut yet. So you're talking
Oh
around
my
about
god.
7 hours. 7 hours.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Okay.
There's a lot there. It's a lot there. It would have been. It probably would have been a really cracking series if I'm actually, if I'm perfectly honest with you. If they'd have cut this up into 30, 40 minute bites, would have been a
The older
bloody
I
good
get,
series to watch.
the more I understand why like Gen Z and Gen Alpha like love TikTok or YouTube, like short content. It's like I just feel like it's like 7 hours. Like, dude, what? Where am I gonna find that time
Dude, call it a day.
over the
Call it
next
a day.
year?
Call it a day. Right. The other thing I've seen this week, and I'm halfway through. So don't shoot me for this because, as I said, I was up to date on Sunny until today because it only lands today. But also, we're halfway through a very short series on Netflix called SupaCell. and it's
Okay.
spelled SupaCell. And to give you the premise of what it is, it's a British made, it's a UK made um, short TV series that tells the story of um, and it does steal a lot of tropes from other productions. If you've ever seen Attack the Block, so the idea of the suburbs of London, the rough
Yeah.
suburbs of London with gangs, etc., meets Heroes. So if you remember Heroes, the old TV series,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
whereby something's going to happen in the future, and
Mhm.
the idea is that one or two of them are trying to prevent the incident from happening in the future. It's basically that. So think of the environment from Attack the Block and the kind of grounded British gangland type of narrative from Attack the Block, but put it around a storyline that's very similar to Heroes, whereby an awful lot of these London kids and people find out that they have special abilities,
Mm.
and that they are required. There is an event that happens in the future that they're required to team together to use those abilities, and they don't truly know what's going on. Now I'm only halfway through the season at the moment, and there are 6 episodes in the season, so um, I'll keep you updated on it. Is it original? Yes. Are the tropes original? No. But is it original? Yes, because it's for me it's a return to kind of the London the the London um or the British take on what superheroes should be. And I'm up for that because it's usually with an awful lot of tongue in cheek. Um
Mhm.
with a bit of grounded reality of what life's really like living in the in the cities of the UK. But yeah, so I do recommend it. It's good fun. It's good fun.
Quick question for you. Speaking of Heroes, did Heroes season 1 have an absolute chokehold culturally on the on
UK,
your
yeah,
area, on the
yeah,
UK
yeah,
as well?
yeah,
Like, when you
yeah,
mentioned Heroes, I was like, "Oh, Peter Petrelli, the cheerleader,"
yeah,
all of
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like,
Protect.
dang,
Pr-
man, how do I still remember that?
oh mate, it was brilliant. And in fact, I think it was season 3 that we started dropping off, and then didn't they bring it back about 10 years later or something?
Well, because wasn't the
Um,
writer's strike or something that, like, really tanked it or something?
Really,
Like, it
really, really
just
messed up season 2 or season 3, but either way, it was. I mean, you think about the people that have come out of this, in particular, Zachary. Is it Zachary Quinto came out of
I know
this?
you're talking about the bad guy, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Hayden
I mean, it was. Is it
Hayden
Zachary?
Panettiere
Yeah,
and
Yeah, Siler,
yeah.
Siler. Yeah, Zachary Quinto. So he was in that. I mean, it birthed an awful lot of talent from that, especially him in particular. But yeah, loved it. I mean, you got Hero in there as well. Masayoka, amazing. Greg Grunberg, JJ's good buddy, as Matt Parkman. I mean, I love that shit. Absolutely love that shit. And then
Yeah.
and then season 2, kind of, we still had the same momentum, but it landed again. It's one of those things that landed at the right time. So it landed in 2006. It came out, and it landed at the right time. So our eldest was 8, our youngest was 6 at that moment in time. So we weren't going out. Date night was not a thing.
Mhm.
We were we were young parents, itching for good stuff to kind of consume on TV. So Heroes at the time landed at completely the right time. It was
ABC primetime
amazing.
over here. I don't know what it was over there, but that primetime evening,
Uh, can't
gosh,
remember.
just
It might have
classic.
been. I think it was on BBC. If I'm perfectly honest, I think it was BBC. I think it took the slot. If memory serves, it took the slot that. Oh, good God. X Files took. So we have all of the kind of popular art or popular programs typically were on BBC Two. So you have BBC
Mhm.
One, which is the mainstream stuff, which typically when this was aired would be the news, it would be, all the current affairs stuff and everything. BBC Two, where all of the kind of all the cool stuff was landing, which was the good comedy and the really good drama at that
Yeah.
moment in time. And I think it was on BBC Two, and I think it took place of the X Files slot in between their seasons as well. I could be completely wrong. Certainly the same slot that Twin Peaks used to do as well, used to run
Mhm.
as well. So I mean, that was massive over here. Twin Peaks was huge, huge, huge over here. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, good times, man. Really good times. So yeah, Supercell. Check it out. Check it out. Um, really good fun. And then lastly, I saw Alien. Saw Alien Romulus, and it's a good film. It is a good film, and it deserves its place in between. It's set in between Alien and Aliens, plural.
Mhm. Yep.
Um, it deserves its place there. I really, really enjoyed an awful lot of it. I'm really glad I got to see it at the cinema. It wasn't great for me though, and I'm almost gutted to be transparent and honest with you on this. It didn't. I love the Alien franchise so much, and I was so disappointed, particularly with four. Um, Actually, I'm actually one of the few people that actually like Alien 3. I thought it was I think most people were expecting it to be a direct sequel to Aliens, plural.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
the Marines are coming in and let's shoot some shit up, and they really were kind of fighting the alien in Alien 3 with nothing more than flares and sticks, and I thought it was really, really good. I think that the whole take on the prison and the religion that these inmates had created for themselves, I thought was really quite perversely fascinating for me. But anyway, um, and because of that, this film didn't, for me, break the mold because
Mhm.
it's so similar to Alien. It's so similar to Aliens that it fits in there perfectly. Best way I can describe it is Alien 1.5.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Does
And the
it like
premise,
a like not a softer reboot, but it's like a remake for the newer generation with newer effects and
well, I was talking again. I shared thoughts with our buddy. God, he's getting mentions when he's not even on the pod. Shared some thoughts with our buddy Turbo, and he kind of said it's a really good. What was his words? He said something along the lines of, "I said to him, he was a lot more positive about it than I am at the moment, and I hope I am coming over positive. Uh, and again, I thought it was good. I just didn't think it was
you can
great.
have missed expectations without shitting on something. Like
Yeah, yeah,
that is
yeah, yeah,
totally
yeah.
fine.
Well, and I think that, and he described it as a
You're
side quest, which I thought
mm,
was perfect. Actually, I thought it was perfect, absolutely perfect. It was a side quest. My biggest,
it's
I wouldn't say
supplemental.
disappointment, that there's stuff that goes on in the film which I won't spoil for anyone that is shocking for an awful lot of people. In that there is something that happens, um, which is straight out of the first film, and you may think, well, that's either in good taste, bad taste, or what have you. I had no problem with it at all because it served the purpose of the plot. So that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the second half of the movie, where I felt towards the crescendo of the movie and the resolution of the plot. Um, Not only was it very similar to what had come before and after it, it got to a point in the end where it was exactly the same. So it wasn't even a nod. It was almost identical, which for me somehow made me think, does that undermine what's happened in those other two films? Somewhat. I don't know. I don't know. But I again, I'm really glad I went. I'm really glad I went to see it. It's a really good film. Uh, it's not a great film for me, and it certainly hasn't rebooted the franchise in any way. Not at the moment.
Do you
I
think
hope
there's
that makes
anything that
sense.
can like, do you think there's anything that can really like is that a franchise that could get more like could get deeper? Like I know they tried with like the Prometheus and some of the other things with like all that, but it's like, or is it just
Well, I
a
quite like that. I quite
a
like
horror
I
plus kind of lore franchise?
I quite like the Prometheus. I quite like Prometheus because I quite
Mhm,
like the theory. I quite like the theory of what is it to be human. I love that. I
mhm.
love that introspection, and I love that. I love that kind of. You know, I don't know if you've ever. There's a book from the '70s called. I think it was called. Um, is it Highway of the Gods or Path? I can't remember the book anyway. But without going into, I'm certainly not going down the road of Scientology, but the idea that potentially there could be, we we were perhaps the product of a higher species, or the fact that we come from somewhere else. I just found fascinating from a purely science fiction point of view, not certainly not from a belief point of view. And
It's a fun
I
thought
love
process,
that.
not a "could this be
I
real"
love that.
process.
I love that about the concept of the engineers. Where it started getting a bit batshit was a bit was around, kind of like taking that and making it even more complicated. Because what was so what was so deliciously delicious about Aliens and Alien 3 was that the threat is it's kind of binary. It's relatively straightforward.
Yeah.
Um, and yet, and the story is the bit that kind of changes around what the threat is. Whereas in
Mhm.
Prometheus, um, they tried to kind of add to the lore by overcomplicating it, and it kind of loses its way a little bit in terms of trying to overcomplicate it, that you lose the original sight of what made Alien in particular so scary. The fact that
Mm.
there wasn't an explanation, the fact that this was shrouded in mystery, a little bit like Boba Fett. The more you
Yeah.
knew about Boba Fett, you realize the guy's actually quite a nice guy after all, right? Whereas the original mystery of the guy was what made him particularly cool. And and so
Well, it's a
and and,
popular trend
and they
anymore
did
of like over explaining villains. It's like they actually have a backstory and a sad history. It's like
And
sometimes
they
I just want
did,
to hate
and
it.
they did the same. They did the same with Predator as well. Don't forget they did exactly the
Yeah.
same thing with Predator, in that they kind of overcomplicating it by trying to create something new by adding to the story to add weight or mass to the story, whereas the simplicity of
Hmm.
of the original story was what made it so damn perfect, and that gave um, enough room for the narrative to weave in and out of that baseline threat. So I kind of feel the same way a little bit about this. It pays a heck of a lot of homage to the prequels as well. So it does pay some homage to Prometheus as well, which is fine, which is absolutely
Yeah.
fine. It's the delivery in the second half that I found just a little bit, I don't know, strange. And I was thinking to myself when I left the theatre, if I was 10 years from now, if I was 20 or 30 years younger than I am at the moment and hadn't watched Alien before, and I saw them in order, would rather than release order, if that makes sense. So if I saw, it's a bit like,
Hmm.
seeing Star Wars from the Phantom Menace all the way through to Rise of Skywalker, as opposed to starting at A New Hope. So if I saw them back to back in the way that the in-universe timeline works, would I like would the surprises of Aliens be somewhat diminished by this film? And I think it would be. I think it would be if I saw them back to back. Um, anyway, that's how I felt. But I'm damn glad I went to the cinema. Went with a buddy of mine. We hadn't seen each other for a couple of months. So that was good fun. and I got to eat a hot dog, which was nice. A wiener. I had a wiener.
Every time you say wiener, I'm gonna get the whistle out. It probably doesn't. It
Good
probably
timing.
doesn't get picked up very well on the mic, but people can use their imagination. They're not missing out on much.
That looks amazing. Looks absolutely
What
amazing. We
the
should start a band.
the the wieners? I don't know. I don't know. I thought I had something for a minute, but then it fell flat. I was like,
The Wiener
I thought I
Whistlers.
had.
The Wiener Whistlers. There you go.
Nope.
So that's it, mate. I mean, and we've done our usual 145 with absolutely no content this week. So congratulations, buddy.
We did. You're welcome. We did a good job. I prepared this week and we delivered. You know, that's what we get paid to do. That's why we get paid the big
Exactly.
bucks.
Exactly.
I even prepared an
So
outro, so you're gonna be amazed. I
no,
wrote
you
one down.
didn't.
I did. It's gonna come across probably even more like this is why I don't write things down because it's gonna be like a high school kid reading off a PowerPoint slide. But I did it.
Okay.
Try everything once, you
Okay.
know.
Well, okay then. In that case, all that leaves me to say is thank you. If any of you have held on until now, thank you very much for putting up with us for another week. Um, More fun and games this time next week. Look after yourselves, look after each other. Love you lots. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your friendship, and take care.
All
Sean.
right, here we go. Here's my prepared statement. And that's a wrap for this episode of Just Chillin'. We hope you had as much fun listening as we did chatting. If you've enjoyed hanging out with us, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And hey, if you've got something awesome to share or just want to say hi, shoot us an email at feedback@justchillin.com. Or you can visit our website at justchillin.com. We love hearing from you, so don't be shy. Until next time, keep chillin' and shillin', and we'll catch you on the next one.
Mate, that's
That's
brilliant.
it.
No, dude, that is absolutely perfect. It's certainly better than I don't care. It's a lot better
and
than
don't
that.
and do yourself a favor and restart your router every once in a while and eat your vegetables. I forgot that part. It was
Take
below the
care,
fold.
guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.